we are in the era of social selling. What's triggered that is that the buying process has just fundamentally changed across a whole bunch of dimensions. Social media is now a far bigger impact on the buying process. So B2B buyers, or 75% of them actually, are now using social to influence decisions. They expect far more from their reps. They don't want to have cold outreach. So we define social selling as 4 key pieces. So the first is around creating a professional brand, right? So increasingly on social, and LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network. In particular, it's really important to have a professional profile, your brand, who you are, because this is increasingly where your customers find you. The second piece is finding the right people. So there's far more people involved in business decisions today, B2B decisions in particular. Corporate executive board has a new stat that says 5.4 buyers in a process. So are your sales teams, are they using social media like LinkedIn to map out, understand who are the right people to contact and reach out to and understand? The third piece of social selling is engaging with insights. So this is both sharing and sharing content, sharing information out to the network, and being a thought leader. And it's also being informed and educated on your customers as they're increasingly being informed about you. And then the fourth piece, which is the one I'm most passionate about, is around building relationships. So how do you grow relationships through warm introductions instead of cold calls? So LinkedIn's offering is called Sales Navigator, and that's exactly what we do. Is we help sales organizations, sales professionals really leverage LinkedIn to do social selling in a way that far exceeds what you can do as a free member. So for example, a couple things that Sales Navigator does is it gives you far more ability to find the right people, and so you have access to a lot more information that you would normally. The second thing that it does is it provides insights and informs you on your leads and your accounts. In today's world, there really is no alternative to not have a social media presence. We're even seeing, for example, in some of the industries that have traditionally been more conservative, like financial services, they're increasingly getting on and realizing it's a valuable place. For example, I just heard a stat, one of the largest banks in the world had just done a pilot with us, and they had accumulated over $100 million in investable assets in less than 120 days with 100 financial advisors. So it's increasingly mainstream, and I think just like any phenomenon, the folks who were on earlier will have an advantage, and then at some point it becomes like a dial tone where everyone's going to have it. 95% of B2B buyers expect thought leadership. They don't want to come in here just to pitch. And also, if you're coming in late and not really tailoring it to them, you've really missed the game, because the buyers, again, have gone online and they're doing research on you. So it's really important to do the listening and education and being informed. Now that we're connected on social, you want to add value back. You don't want to be pitching your products all the time. Generally, what you want to do is share content. That doesn't mean you need to create content and write content, etc. But typically, there's a lot of great things that you're reading already in your social network feeds. And simply just liking and commenting, putting a comment or two and sharing it is a way to stay relevant, to essentially curate content. And that generally doesn't take long. And different companies have different measures. I think one company has, for every 5 shares, 4 should be general about the industry, thought leadership, and maybe 1 out of 5 can be about their company. That feels about right. As a way, you don't want to, again, just be blitzing your own products and services. That's not really adding to the relationship. Yeah, social selling absolutely is becoming more and more a mainstream part of a professional's toolkit. Not only is it you're more likely to beat quota, 51% more likely to beat quota if you have a high social selling index score. And so, we're LinkedIn, so we have all this data. We can see over time who's been promoted over the years, and then we can correlate that promotional data with sales, with social selling, and we see a high correlation. So it's increasingly connected to how people are succeeding. The likelihood of getting promoted, for example, from manager to director was 1.7x higher for those who have high social selling index scores. What's so valuable as well about social selling is that this helps our profession, helps the industry, because it moves away from that cold calling, bombarding people, volume game, and instead it makes it more thoughtful, makes it more meaningful, makes it more tailored. And again, this is what triggered the whole social selling revolution, is that this is what buyers ask for. buyers do not want to be cold called to, and it has a bad reputation on your firm. So as we found in the studies that we had, that the buyer was 53%, would have 53% likelihood of looking at your company less favorably if your reps are cold calling them.